Welcome back to Lingoni English. My name's Brian, and in this video, I'm going to teach you when to use the words any and some in English. Let's take a look. We'll start with the sentence, Colton asked for some tea. Now here, he says some because he wants a small amount of tea. I imagine a cup of tea. Colton asked for some tea. Let's look at another sentence. The farmer grows tea. Here you can imagine that the farmer is growing a lot of tea to sell to many people. So you cannot say some tea because it's not a small amount. The farmer grows tea. Let's look at another sentence. Georgia brought some cookies to my house. Now this means that Georgia came to my house and she took cookies with her to give to me. Thanks, Georgia. Now again, this means she brought a small amount of cookies, maybe 3 or 4 or 10, I don't know how many, but it's a small amount, not 100 or 1,000. Notice you can say some cookies, so some plus plural nouns, or you can say some tea, so some plus an uncountable noun. If you need to review countable and uncountable nouns, you can watch Emily's video right here. That's a little bit about some, but what about any? If someone asks, did Joan and Anne find grapes at the store? You could answer by saying, yes, they found some grapes, or yes, they found some. Or you could say, no, they didn't find any grapes. They didn't find any. Notice that when the sentence is negative, you cannot say some, but rather you have to say any. They didn't find any grapes. They didn't find any. Let's look at another example. So if you're in a restaurant, you could say to the server, excuse me, we don't have any napkins. Could you bring us some napkins, please? Here, notice that you say, we don't have any napkins. So don't is negative, so we say any afterwards. We don't have any napkins. And in the next sentence, you say, could you bring us some napkins, please? You say some here for 3 reasons. The first reason is that the sentence is affirmative or positive. It's not negative. So you can say some. Also, you're asking for a small amount of something, so that's reason number 2. Reason number 3 we'll look at in a moment. While we're talking about any being used in negative sentences, there are other words that you could use any with that feel negative or are almost negative. Let's take a look. So you can use any after the words without, hardly, or rarely. So for example, we hardly got any rain last summer. This means that we got so little rain that it felt like or seemed like there was no rain. We hardly got any rain last summer. That bakery rarely has any croissants. This means that they don't usually have croissants. Maybe it's less than a 10% chance. That bakery rarely has any croissants. All right, let's go back to the sentence, could you bring us some napkins, please? What's the third reason why we use some here? Well, you may have learned that you use any in a question, and this is true, you can do that. But sometimes you use some in a question, again, when you're asking for small amounts, but also when you think the answer is going to be yes. So if you ask a server for napkins, they will probably say yes. Another example is if I say, do you want some ice cream? I imagine most people would say, yes, I do. So if I say, are there any lakes in Washington, D.C.? I say any because the amount is not important, whether it's a small or a large amount. I just want to know if there are any lakes. But also, I don't know if the answer is yes or no. I have no idea. So I ask, are there any lakes in Washington, D.C.? All right, let's look at one last use of the word any. So someone could ask you, which game do you want to play? And you could answer by saying, I don't care. I'll play any game. Now, here you say any game, and this means it's not important which game you play. You could play chess, World of Warcraft, cards, whatever. It's all the same to you. I'll play any game. And one more example. My mom said I could paint my room any color. So I could paint my room red, blue, pink, green, yellow, any color that I want. My mom said that I can paint my room any color. All right, that was a lot of information. So let's review starting with the word some. Some you use when talking about small quantities that are not specific but more general. So some coffee or some cookies. And you also use some in a question where you think the answer is yes. So, could you bring us some napkins, please? Or, who wants some ice cream? Again, here, these are for small amounts of something. And any you use in negative statements to replace some. So, they didn't find any grapes. You can also use it in a question when the amount is not important and you don't know if the answer is yes or no. So, are there any lakes in Washington, D.C.? And the third time you use any is when it's not important which thing you're talking about. So, I'll play any game, or I can paint my bedroom any color. All right, let's do a little practice. In these sentences, do you say any or some? Tina never has blank time. Tina never has blank time. Tina never has any time. Here you say any because it's a negative sentence. She never has any time. You can come over blank day this week. I'm free the whole week. You can come over blank day this week. I'm free the whole week. You can come over any day this week. It doesn't matter which day. You could come over Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. because I'm free the whole week. You can come over any day this week. Would you like blank candy? Would you like blank candy? Here I would probably say some. So, would you like some candy? And this is because it's an offer, and I think the person will say yes. You could also say, would you like any candy? And it sounds less sure that the person will say yes. You really don't know. And there you have it, any and some in English. Now, go ahead and practice by using them in the comments below. Thanks for watching Lingoni English. See you next time.